You're watching The Truth is Viral, the only news program on the internet trusted to deliver the truth since 2008. And now, here's your host, Mr. Bobby Powell.
You've got to be smart to work at the FBI and the Department of Justice, right? To be a federal law enforcement officer, a federal prosecutor, or a federal judge, at some point you'd have to demonstrate at least some common sense and the ability to think logically and rationally. Not to mention discharging your duties with honesty and integrity. Wouldn't you think? Wouldn't you hope? Then why do they keep on making the same mistake over and over and over again, utilizing every resource available to the government of the United States of America to pursue murderous grudges against people they don't like simply because they can? You know, I remember growing up and watching television shows like Dragnet and Adam 12 and movies depicting Elliot Ness and his untouchables, men who were immune to the hooks of corruption. And my parents and teachers always told me that the police were the good guys. So I grew up believing that. I really did. Before I joined the Marine Corps, in fact, I took a year of criminal justice at the local community college because I wanted to be one of those heroes. I've always wanted to help people, and that's what I thought the police officers did. And for the vast majority, that's exactly what they do. But the murders of Randy Weaver's wife and his 14-year-old son at Ruby Ridge by an FBI sniper shocked me, and they shocked the nation. It was the first time that I can remember thinking that federal law enforcement could be heavy-handed, corrupt, and unfair. It was also the first time that I remember hearing about militias, because those events caused people to swell their ranks in record numbers. Along with the rest of the nation, I witnessed more unnecessary violence by the United States government, which eventually led to the massacre of 76 men, women, and children at the Branch Davidian compound in Waco, Texas. The murders of those innocents by federal agents at Waco led to another massacre, more innocents dead, 168 of them in Oklahoma City, as retaliation by the monstrous Timothy McVeigh. Now, in both of those cases, the deliberate escalation of violence by the government was totally avoidable. Randy Weaver was sitting on top of his mountain, and he wasn't going anywhere. David Koresh went into town regularly and could have been arrested at any time, peacefully. But the government wasn't interested in peace. As we witnessed most recently at the Bundy Ranch in 2014, federal law enforcement wanted to conduct the most militaristic operation possible, simply because they could. So what could possibly make somebody so angry that they would purposely park a truck bomb directly underneath the Alfred P. Murrow Building's daycare center, or murder totally innocent police officers as they sat down to eat lunch? And I'll tell you what. Elements of the federal government felt that the law did not apply to them. They killed innocent people, and the murderers got away with it. For example, hostage rescue team sniper Lon Horiuchi shot Vicki Weaver in the face at Ruby Ridge. She was armed only with her baby, and Horiuchi snuffed out her life for no apparent reason. The federal government was eventually forced to pay her family $1 million after that illegal shooting. But was Horiuchi charged with a crime for illegally killing Vicki Weaver? No, he wasn't. Instead, as congressional testimony revealed, he was deployed to Waco, Texas, where he fired at unarmed Branch Davidians as they tried to escape their burning compound. And that's what set McVeigh off on his murderous path. Because by thinking themselves above the law, by acting like unaccountable bullies with badges, out-of-control elements of the federal government created monsters like Timothy McVeigh and Amanda and Jared Miller, who, by the way, were kicked out of the Bundy Ranch in 2014 for being too extreme weeks before they killed 2 Las Vegas police officers and a civilian. McVeigh and the Millers felt that the only way that they could get justice, to restore the rule of law and hold the government accountable for the outrageous, deadly, and unnecessary tactics that they used, was through violence. Terrible, murderous violence. And as much as I deplore the reality of the situation, the unconstitutional, shamefully unethical, and illegal actions of prosecutor Stephen Mirie and the tyrannical dictates of Judge Gloria Navarro are going to have the same effect on some deluded soul or a group of extremists, and they will have the blood of innocents on their hands. By their blatant persecution, not prosecution, of the Bundys, they are creating new monsters. I fervently pray that everybody that sees this will heed my words and join me in decrying offensive violence against anyone. But reality must be faced if we're to be honest with ourselves. There are really bad people out there that call themselves patriots when they are anything but. People who, like Timothy McVeigh, are willing to kill innocents in order to realize their own brand of justice. And the persecution of the Bundys that's being led by Mirie and Navarro is feeding their hatred of the federal government at this very moment. It would be horrific if a federal building were targeted and innocents were slaughtered as McVeigh did when he blew up the Alfred P. Murrah building in Oklahoma City, or if some psycho decided that assassinating individual federal employees would be a good idea. Those scenarios are evil, plain and simple, totally outside the realm of anything acceptable to a real patriot. And if I read the Bundys correctly, they would rather sit in prison for the rest of their natural lives than have anything like that perpetrated in their name. But it's not up to the Bundys, is it? No. They literally have no say in the way that their prosecution unfolds. Now, it's the responsibility of the federal government to give the Bundys a fair trial so that no extremist can use their actions as an excuse to seek justice through violence. If they don't, any innocent blood shed in the future will also be their responsibility, and that blood may be their own if some psycho wannabe patriot decides that assassinating individual federal employees would be a good idea. I'm not alone in recognizing the prosecutorial misconduct of AUSA Stephen Mirie, who took out his most recent defeat personally on Eric Parker when he called him a slithering coward with a gun, or the judicial tyranny of Judge Gloria Navarro. Throughout all the Bundy trials, Judge Navarro has twisted and perverted the law and the rules of evidence, suppressed the testimony of multiple defense witnesses, suppressed official records and radio communications, and videos of the BLM's deployment of heavily armed agents assaulting the Bundys and their supporters. She suppressed any reference to the United States Constitution or disgraced BLM Special Agent Dan Love, who led the assault on the Bundys, despite a direct order from his chain of command to stand down the day before the cattle were released, in order to give the government every conceivable advantage. Just recently, acting in his capacity as the Bureau of Land Management lead investigator into what really went down at the Bundy Ranch in 2014, Special Agent Larry Wooten routinely observed a widespread pattern of bad judgment, lack of discipline, incredible bias, unprofessionalism, and misconduct, as well as likely policy, ethical, and legal violations among senior and supervisory staff at the BLM's Office of Law Enforcement and Security. Wooten further observed that those supervisors made a mockery of our positions of special trust and confidence, displaying extreme unprofessional bias which adversely affected our agency's mission, and likely the trial regarding Cliven Bundy and his alleged co-conspirators, and ignored the intent and letter of the law. These issues are also likely to put our agency and specific law enforcement supervisors in potential legal, civil, and administrative jeopardy. In his report, Wooten noted that former BLM SAC Daniel P. Love, who apparently likes to send pictures of his girlfriend's vagina and his own feces to co-workers, routinely ignored the U.S. Attorney's Office and BLM civilian management, as well as the recommendations of the state of Nevada, in order to command the most intrusive, oppressive, large-scale, and militaristic cattle impound possible. He stated that Love indicated who was to be killed first at the Bundy Ranch on an arrest tracking wall, which had the pictures of Eric Parker and Cliven Bundy with X's marked through them. Love also kept a gruesome trophy kill book, in which he kept mementos from people who had killed themselves as a result of his thuggish actions during and in the aftermath of Operation Cerberus action. When Wooten tried to submit his 17-page report to superiors, the documents and electronic evidence he had gathered to go with it were seized from his office, and he was removed from the case at the furious insistence of AUSA Stephen Myrie. I believe that that's an obstruction of justice. It's been proven, even to Judge Navarro's satisfaction, that the prosecution in the Bundy case willfully withheld exculpatory evidence on at least 6 different occasions. And this isn't the first time that lead prosecutor Myrie has withheld evidence favorable to the defense. Myrie was also found to be guilty of Brady violations in the case U.S. v. Chapman, when he withheld 650 pages of evidence from the defense. A mistrial with prejudice was the result. When prosecutor Myrie appealed the decision, the appellate court commented, "This is prosecutorial misconduct in its highest form. Conduct in flagrant disregard of the United States Constitution, and conduct which should be deterred by the strongest possible sanction." I don't know if Myrie ever was sanctioned for his misconduct, but if he was, the punishment obviously did not deter him from offending again, because in the Bundy case, over 5,000 documents and electronic records were withheld from the defense. Some of them show how Myrie lied in the charging documents when the Bundys were originally indicted. Others prove that he has continued to lie, to the defense and to the judge, since the trials began last year. Still others confirm the deployment of snipers in the hills around the Bundy Ranch well before the standoff occurred, even though Myrie had been denying their existence. Finally, even Judge Navarro had enough of his lies and declared a mistrial in the case of the Tier 1 Bundy defendants. She'll decide whether to try the Bundys again or to dismiss the case with prejudice on January 8th. The government has spent millions of dollars trying to put the Bundys in jail at the urging of former Nevada Senator Dirty Harry Reid, who stood to profit financially from the destruction of the Bundy Ranch. Its agents have shamed themselves and their respective agencies with their unethical, immoral, and illegal conduct. The prosecution has repeatedly lied to the defense and to the court with willful intent and malice aforethought, and then threw petulant temper tantrums like a 3-year-old child after convictions were not obtained. They have disgraced our Article III courts, from which Americans expect integrity and the concept of equal treatment before the law, and that cannot be allowed. Lady Justice must not be swayed by biased, religiously bigoted, and ethically challenged agents looking for any excuse to play operator and get into a gunfight. She must not be swayed by prosecutors who will do anything to win a case. Justice be damned. And she must not be swayed by tyrannical judges who twist the law so to allow such abuses to remain hidden from a jury. But now that the exculpatory evidence has been properly disclosed, and the unethical, unconstitutional, and illegal antics of those who conducted the government's roundup of Bundy's cattle has been exposed, and now that an investigation into the conduct of federal officials in charge of the Bundy case has been ordered by Attorney General Jeff Sessions, it is high time for Assistant U.S. Attorney Stephen Myrie and Judge Gloria Navarro to stop persecuting the Bundys, drop all charges against the remaining defendants, and based on the new evidence that's come to light, those have already been convicted or pled guilty and are currently serving time must be freed. Justice demands it. Even the juries approved by the prosecution have taken note of the third-grade grudge the federal government is taking out on the Bundys and their supporters, and they have acted accordingly by refusing to convict them. There is no reason to believe that the government will be any more successful against the Bundys should a new trial be ordered by Judge Navarro on January 8th, especially now that the defense has access to the exculpatory evidence previously withheld by the prosecution. To Judge Navarro and AUSA Myrie, I can say only this. I don't know what Harry Reid has on you that made you throw away every last bit of honor and integrity you ever had, if you ever earned, or what you think you owe him, but destroying your own careers with your blatant disregard for the rule of law is simply foolish, not to mention illegal and sanctionable. If any blood is shed In response to the persecution of the Bundys and their supporters, the responsibility is going to rest directly on your shoulders. So just stop it already. Admit to your mistakes, honor your oath to the Constitution, and let justice prevail before somebody gets hurt.
Thank you for watching The Truth is Viral with your host, Bobby Powell. Make sure to follow The Apocalypse on Twitter at The Truth is Viral. Like The Truth is Viral on Facebook, and if you can, please remember to donate to the cause via PayPal at www.bobpowell.blogspot.com.